This is the Final Round Podcast, coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt. Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Final Round Drag Racing Podcast, number 73, on deck here this evening. Excited to have you along for the ride with us tonight. Got a good show coming up. I know we say that every time, but it is. We finally have somebody joining us in studio, which is always fun, and it's not just Jason. Jason made the trip out as well. We've got Davy Markle joining us here to talk a little bit about some dirt car racing and Division I Super Street and all the other activities that he went through the course of this year. But I have a confession. I'm going to try and get ahead of this before Jason does. I called him today. I called him today with my Lincoln broke down at a bank because I foolishly ran it out of gas. It was the worst. Usually when I get a car, I figure the thing out and how close I can push it, and I was very, very wrong. Very wrong. I only had about, it said that I had about 40 miles left, and apparently I had about 35 feet.
35 feet. E doesn't mean extra 10 miles.
Well, I forget how do they put it? It's like admission is the first step of recovery or something like that. So, yeah, I will say I'm guilty of that. I've done it a couple of times, especially now with the cars, the way that they have the computers in them, right, telling you how far you have to go, and it's like, oh yeah, I got 50 miles to go. I'm good. And it's like hit the trip odometer and I'll wait till 49.9 miles, and then I'll pull off and get some gas and put. Oh, darn. I guess I didn't have 50 miles. I only had 42 miles. And
I knew my Avenger, and I knew my minivan, and who would have thought that the computers in the 2013, 2014 versions of vehicles would have been that much better than a vehicle built 20 years ago.
See, you were lucky because you were in Seneca Falls, right?
No, I was in Phelps.
Oh, you were in Phelps, okay. Yeah. Well, you were in town.
You
know where you don't want to do that? On the throughway. Because you know how much a gallon of gas costs you on the throughway?
Yes.
20 miles between stops?
Yeah. They'll bring a gallon of gas out to you.
I was calling every person I could think of that worked at the school, hoping they were still there. I finally got somebody, and they took me up the road, and I bought a $20 2-gallon gas can because it's an emergency.
Right.
Some gas, and dumped it in. And how
long did you have to wait?
It was 15 minutes. The hard part was jumping the battery, because in the process of trying to get the fuel to reflow, it had spun down.
Yeah.
It was, again, getting ahead of this story so that you can't pick on me as much on the air for this.
And the weather has been so fantastic that it was so nice to be outside when it was 25 degrees outside today. So
my concern was on Monday, after the 27 hours it took to get from Topeka, Kansas back to Rochester.
Right.
That the battery was going to be in rough shape in that thing anyway, trying to get started. And it fired up, and it did just fine. And it really wasn't that bad driving home at 30 on 390.
Yeah.
The issue was running out of gas at school.
So I'm assuming that coming home from Kansas that you were basically delayed in the same storm that was moving across country that ended up hitting us eventually.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Lucky you.
The Derby ended ahead of schedule, which was great. And I decided to try to be proactive and get to the airport to catch standbys. And I got to the airport, turned in my rental car, and got to the airport. And
there's mistake number one.
It was...
You should have just kept the rental car.
It was 7:15, and they closed ticketing at 7 o'clock. So I stayed there until the ticketing reopened at 3:30. And I was already on the first flight out Monday morning, which was delayed 4 hours. And then I got sent to Newark, and that flight was delayed another hour getting to Rochester. And we landed in snow that you really couldn't see through with the cloud cover on a runway that was just as white as the grass next to it.
Yep.
It was fine. It was fine. What could possibly go wrong?
I would say the joys of air travel.
Yep.
It's one of the things that I love about my job right now is that I basically make one airplane trip a year, and that's to Banner Corporate for their annual sales meeting in balmy February, and then I fly home, and every time I do it, I come back home, and I'm like, yeah, now I remember why I hate air travel.
Yeah.
especially, I mean, it's funny because, flying out of a small airport like Rochester or Buffalo or Syracuse, I mean, it has its pluses and minuses. The plus is that you don't have to get to the airport 2 hours early. The minus is that you never have a direct flight, which means your chances for being delayed now just increased by 100%.
Well, Rochester was better prepared for the storm than Chicago was.
It doesn't surprise me.
I guess fewer runways to maintain, et cetera. Anyway.
Yeah.
I still don't think I would have been in the situation I was in today when I was parked on a grade.
No, probably not.
If it wasn't on a grade, I think I'd have been okay. It should have been.
Or you could have gotten gas like yesterday.
I could have.
Or this morning.
But I was to the plus.
Right.
Turns out I wasn't.
Well, you got yourself a nice new shiny gas can out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm going to polish up the plastic so it looks even better. It's going to be awesome. Hear the disembodied voice of one Davy Markle joining us. Davy, how are you?
Good. How is everybody else?
We're doing good.
Chris is good now. We got gas in his car.
Yeah.
Gas goes a long way.
I was here. We made it. Yep.
Be grateful it's not in a big Duramax dually or something towing a huge trailer.
Oh, God.
In the middle of nowhere. And then you're like, I got 11 miles to go. That's no good.
Did I ever tell you that story, Chris?
No. No, I haven't heard this.
I don't think I've heard this either.
So the terrible story, and this was just a nightmare trip for me and Billy Lieber. So we're going down to Atlanta.
Oh, Billy's involved.
Giving you a fair chance right now.
Yep.
Fair chance. Do you want to hold this for production later? Or are we doing this now?
Oh, no, we'll do it now.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it now. So it was really a crazy trip. So it starts off with us running out of fuel on, I'm going to call it 79. And Billy always kept a 5-gallon jug of diesel in the bed of his pickup. Well, he had forgotten that he had loaned the jug of diesel to his dad. So as we run out of fuel, now he's got his 53-foot trailer on the truck too. Goes to get it, it's not there. So we end up being delayed on the side of the road for a few hours there. That was the good part. So, and it was crazy because he had GM roadside assistance, and he called them. We gave him the exact mile marker, exactly where we were, and they're like, "Oh, we can't find you." And one of the best quotes ever was like, "I can't believe you can't find me. How could you not find the 70-foot long white rig on the side of the road at the exact mile marker that I gave you? If I would have given these coordinates to the U.S. government, they would have blown me up with a Patriot missile by now."
Sounds like Billy's
Oh yeah. So.
Whoa.
So now we keep driving. We get down to, I'm pretty sure it was South Carolina, and I'm in the back seat sleeping. It's 3 o'clock in the morning or something like this, and Billy gets out to fuel up. And as he's fueling it up, he leaves it running like you do with a diesel, and I hear this thing idling, and I'm like, that's kind of weird. The truck just shut off, and I don't remember hearing the door open and him clicking the key off. I'm like, so I wipe the sleep out of my eyes, and I peek up and I look out. And I'm like, I've learned with Billy that you never just yell at him or say something. You always ask questions about why he's doing something. So I look out the window and I'm like, he's putting gas in it. I wonder why he's putting gas in it and not diesel.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
So I ask him, I'm like, is there a reason why you're putting gasoline in it and not diesel? And at that point he turns and looks, and it was one of these dual pumps that had the diesel and fuel at the same time.
Right.
And he picked the wrong one, and the truck stalled when we had like 25 gallons of gasoline at this point in time. So the truck stalled when it had enough gas in it that it pumped up to the injector unit. So the next, I don't know how many hours was spent outside at 3 o'clock in the morning figuring out how to get this truck started again and get 25 gallons of gasoline out of the tank. And
sounds like an old-fashioned siphon to me.
Just start waving cars that come up to the pump up, right?
Well, and, at the time, I will say, this was 20, at least, it was 20 years ago, I'll say. So, I mean,
right. I'm
in my 20s, he's in his 20s. You just put $50 in fuel in it, right? I mean, that was a lot of money to us at the time. And, I think we went racing probably with $200 total, right? So, yeah, now it's like, oh, great. Now how are we going to get home? We don't even have money for fuel because we just spent $50.
You better win.
Yeah. So yes, we are. I am not exempt from making silly fueling mistakes, I guess.
I see. This was a different story than Davy was going for.
And yes, it wasn't fun with a diesel.
They are not fun.
How'd you end up getting it restarted?
It was a pain. Yeah, it was a real
It's a
pain.
lot of priming and a lot of turning over. Get the charger out. Hopefully that's going on it because your batteries are going to die.
Well, yeah, and
not that that's ever happened to me.
You just heard the stories.
Well, and we did get it started, and we got to Atlanta, and we ended up then, at least on the, maybe for the whole race, but at least for the first day, pitting outside, because by the time we got there and got it primed, all the rest of it, we burned the starter up. So yeah, it had one start left in it, and that was basically at the gas station. And when we got to Atlanta and parked for the night, waiting for us to be pitted in the morning, it was like, I'm done.
I feel like most of the racing stories that we have are same thing. Is all the stuff happens before we even get to the gate.
Right.
We haven't even loaded the race cars yet. Look at all the stuff. Look at all the stuff that's missing off our tow rig before we've even bought an entry fee for this race yet.
But you've overcome that to a degree. I mean, you came through and you finished top 5 in Division 1.
Top 5 in the division.
It's a whole lot better.
I would say a lifelong goal, actually.
Some of the tales of woe that we were just sharing in the opening 10 minutes of this. I mean, that's you've overcome, and it's at least somewhat apparent that you've got better planning abilities than I've got.
Knock on wood, I think the only bad thing we had happen travel-wise with us this year was losing the simulator on the dually on the way to Norwalk, first race of the year. And I'm going to say if that's all that happened bad, I'm going to count it as good.
Right.
Yeah, there's generally always going to be some type of catastrophe, disaster, whatever you want to call it, with a tow rig, whatever it might be. I mean, the minor one is, you get the flat on a trailer, right? I mean, that happens pretty much almost
yearly basis.
Yearly basis, right? Yeah, that's. It's funny. Nobody likes it. It's always aggravating when it happens, but it really shouldn't be a surprise. I mean,
it's even worse when you have 3 on the same trip. Because when you only carry 2 spares, that's a little rough.
God.
I always used to carry just one, but yeah, I mean, that's one of those learning experiences that you end up having, that you learn that if you're going to travel, you better carry 2 spares. And yeah, 3 spares is even better. That's one of the reasons why I like. Well, you probably have. You got a triple axle now, right?
A triple axle.
Yeah. So it's a nice thing is that if you lose a tire, obviously if you lose a tire, you're into putting more pressure on the other 2 tires. But at least you can keep going and not feel terrible about your situation.
Just ratchet strap that bad boy out of the way, right?
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. The race is still going to go on.
Right. That's right. So this was the first year that you finished in the top 5.
It's the first year I actually. Beginning of the year, I didn't start out trying to make a whole run at this, but then a couple races in, I was like, yeah, maybe I got a shot at something. Yeah. So we'll see what goes. We'll go to the next one, and kept going more rounds, and ended up finishing out with a runner-up in Virginia. And next thing you know, we're on the top 5 leaderboard.
And is that what secured it for you? It
really was. I told myself I'm doing the math, and I figure I had to go at least, I want to say at least 3 to maybe 4 rounds when I get there, and ended up going a little farther than that and solidified the top 5. I just wanted to slide into top 10. I thought that'd be cool, and got the 5th place out of it. So
I'm surprised how frequently we hear that. That exact story has been played over so many times. It's like, I'm just going to go see where things fall for the first couple races. It's like, well, I'm doing okay. Maybe if I do a little bit of math, I can do this. And then the further you go, you get a little bit of momentum going, and then the math seems a little bit more reasonable, and then you start thinking, well, maybe I can get top 8. Maybe I can get. By the time you're done, you're chasing all over the place, and it turned into something successful.
Davy was in a good situation, I guess, because he ended up finishing in the top 5 at the end of the year. What I need is the internet meme with, what was the name of the character from Star Wars? He's like the general. It's a trap.
I know the trap you're thinking of. Thank God. I don't want to say thank God, because if it happened in Supercomp, that would have been in my dragster, and then I'd be like, okay, I got to go to 4 more nationals.
Right.
Also, I know what trap you're talking about.
Yep.
And I was thinking that too, because I actually in the dragster I had 2 quarterfinal finishes at nationals, and I never went around at a national event until this year actually.
Yeah,
and that was another goal of mine this year at least.
Yeah, the worst thing that happens is you start off the season doing well at an NHRA points race, because now you're obligated. You're obligated to chase it. because the fact that it's like, well, geez, I mean, I'm third overall. It's like I got to see if I can ride this out the rest of the year. And about $10,000 later, and you're 20th in the standings, and you're like, why did I spend all that money?
What money?
It's not expensive to do this, right?
No, very, very cheap.
Yeah, I think you can go race division races for what, $50 maybe, $50 a weekend, I'm guessing.
We had an interview over the weekend where somebody said if my wife ever sold my stuff for what I told her I invested.
Right, yeah.
I'll be heartbroken.
Yeah, so now, I mean, all the years you've been traveling now for a couple of years, right, Davey? I mean, 3 years?
The last 3 years or so, we did I want to say 4, maybe 5 divisionals and one national. And then this year, I actually just planned on just doing Epping's national and just 4 divisionals again. But I started out the year and I hadn't really even lost first round and did good at Epping's national. I was still in from the Lebanon race that got rained out. So I had to finish that at Echo's divisional. So I'm like, well, that means I got to go to 5 divisionals now if I'm going to go. So I went there.
Is that Lebanon Valley?
Yeah, I was still in at the Lebanon divisional, and we had to finish it. We got down to 5 cars, and then it rained at 10 o'clock at night. They bagged the race, and we took a vote. We finished at Echo, which was the next.
Is that what you voted for?
Yeah, I did vote for that. A lot of other people voted for Epping for other classes, but it just made sense that it's closer for me, first of all, and it made sense it was the next race on tour. I didn't want to wait 2 more months to figure out who was going to win. So we went to ACO and finished that race out, and unfortunately lost about 3,000 on that race. But it is what it is. That's racing. And I think we went 2 rounds at that divisional while we were there also. So it just in both classes. So it just kept me going both classes. Like, okay, we did 5, so let's do 6. Then let's do 7. I was like, well, we're going to Virginia now. Let's sign up for Maple Groves National, and the rest is history.
Yeah. I would say, now, was it, when you started traveling, you've pretty much been traveling. I don't know if you can, do you consider Ed McLeaf a teammate? You guys have been traveling, I guess, quite a bit together, right?
Well,
was it
as a teammate, but we have a color coordination problem. He loves his orange, and I love my red. And yes, red's better.
We were just talking about that.
Right, yeah, before we went on, exactly, yeah. Was Ed the one that, kind of needling you about, hey, you need to start, traveling a little bit with me and going to some of these races? Or
it's weird. I think it almost started back in 2006, actually. And I won the Quick Rod Divisional at Empire.
Oh,
back
that's
when
right.
It was in New York National Raceway Park.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I kind of I talked to him, hey, is there more of these races out there? And he goes, yeah, there's one in Pittsburgh. So I decided to go to Pittsburgh and do that. And then I started realizing, there's a lot more out there than just what's in this little area.
Right.
I enjoyed 90 racing and whatnot. And over the course of the years, I just did more and more IHRA stuff. And I always wanted to do an NHRA race. I always was at a national event with my parents and sitting in the stands and watching Supercom drive by. I was like, I could be out there doing that. Why am I sitting in the stands watching,
Yeah.
And one day I just told myself, you know what? I don't want to be 75 years old and wish that I did all this. So I was like, I'm just going to do it because you only live once, as far as I'm concerned. So
now, did your dad? Your dad's been racing for quite a while.
I think from what he told me, I think this was his 50th year of racing.
Wow,
50 years in drag racing.
Yeah, that's incredible. So did he ever go and race an NHRA national event or anything like that?
His first NHRA event was after I've ever raced one, actually. We had NHRA license back in the day, but we never did an NHRA national event.
Yeah.
We always did the IHRA, the Empire Nationals all the time and stuff like that. But
it's funny. It really doesn't surprise me, to be honest, just because of the fact that my dad started racing in the 60s and didn't do his first national event until 1990. It's just...
Yeah, that's about right for my dad, I would say, too, because in 1991 or 92, he entered top dragster at the Empire National. That was his thing he wanted to do. So that was actually in the car that I still drive today.
Oh, was it really?
It was 1991. I was 5 years old. Helped him build that car. That's why it's still around. It's kind of a little sentimental, just like your car is.
Right.
Father,
so which car is that?
That would be my dragster.
That's the dragster.
That'd be the one that's on the picture.
Yeah.
It looks a little different now. It's got a different body on it now, and I front hefted it and back hefted it. But in front of my feet, all the way to right behind the motor, that is the same car from 1991.
All I can envision is the movie The Jerk. Anything in this 6 inches right here is is original tubing.
I saw Jessie Shulman down in Topeka. We're talking about nostalgia stuff and cars that mean something.
Yep. They
have the Showtime car.
Oh, no kidding.
They have the car, not a replica. They have it. He was like, gotta tell Jason. He's not gonna believe it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And is it just sitting in the garage, or
it is? It's just sitting with all the rest of the. There's so many race cars there. I mean,
I wonder.
It's
actually,
just short of making a museum at this point, you know.
I wonder how many of those cars there are. I mean, that's funny because it's a funny thing is that, back then, unlike today. So if you said right now that you bought John Force's funny car, I'd be like, well, okay, which one? He had like 8 chassis this year and 14 bodies.
The seventh one that he blew up.
Right. So it's like, yes, which one was it, right? But back then, I mean, guys, especially Tom Hoover. I mean, they were a small independent family operation. I'm guessing that they probably had one car and one body, and if they broke the body for some reason, then they built another. That one went in the garbage, and they built another one.
Sure.
So I'm guessing there was probably only one, but I'm curious to know if there was only one of those cars, or did they have a couple of them? I don't know.
I'll get you in touch with those guys. Or we can just have him back.
How about we just have him back? Yeah.
Jeffy said, he goes, I'm not going to be able to talk much. But you keep bugging everybody else. Keep bugging Robin and you'll get more info.
But anyways.
But that being the same car from, I mean, even that little slice, just from the front to the back like that, there's still nostalgia there.
It's the same car. Yeah, I mean, it's the same car. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, and you get to the point where, not that money doesn't, let's call it $10,000, right? Not that $10,000 is not a lot of money to any of us sitting in the room, but $10,000 is also not life-changing money to any of us in the room. So when you talk about, all right, am I going to get rid of something that sentimentally has a lot of value to me? Am I going to do it for $10,000 or $15,000? Probably not. Ronnie
Sock's shirt.
Right. I'd rather take it and push it in the corner and basically have it there as a show and tell piece to talk with people about than give it away, because you're going to give it away and you're instantly going to regret it more than likely and look back and say, 5 years from now, I wish I wouldn't have sold that car.
You can never get it back.
No. Well, you can if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, or it's going to cost you a lot more money, much money than you got for it. So,
yeah. Again. Billy Lieber got very lucky with being able to buy his Nova back. First it was being able to find it, which was just really a miracle in itself. But then having an opportunity to get it back, I mean, that's not something that happens all the time. And half the time you find out that, I sold it to this guy, who sold it to this guy, who wrecked it, and now it's in a junkyard someplace, big scrap heap. So, don't sell it. Keep it for your kids. Say,
now that you didn't have to chase that car; it never left the family, right?
It's not going anywhere.
No. Prior to that,
nope. It was built right in my dad's basement.
Now you started racing in juniors, right?
I started racing in juniors in 1994.
Do you still have a junior?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Couldn't wait to get out of those. They were fun when you were a kid, but once you get to the point where I'm getting to have my driver's license. No, I want a big car now.
Yeah, I would say because I forget who it was that we had on recently. We were kind of going through a bunch of the different drivers that started in juniors, and your name had come up as one of the guys that basically started in the juniors and worked up through the ranks, and did a nice job essentially. And it's funny because I don't know if you remember or not, but I mean I first met you at the RC track.
I do remember this, actually. This would be Brockport Speedway then.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, this is going way back, Chris.
Way back. This is way back.
Yeah.
That's next to a quarry.
I'm guessing you were probably...
It was before I was racing juniors.
Yeah, it was before you were racing juniors. I was guessing 12, 13 years old, maybe?
I was probably younger than that. I was probably 8 years old, I would imagine.
So it was before you even started working at
Oh, yeah.
New York International Raceway Park to
I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I was actually little, not 6'4" like I am now. I was
Yeah. He was little. I mean, that's. I knew Pete Dagnolo's dad. I had met him previously, but I didn't really know Pete. I met Pete at the RC track as well.
Yeah.
If you ever see him race, then you'll know who Pete is. Especially when he RC races, too.
Yeah.
He's the guy standing on the podium with the trophy and the RC chicks hanging off of him. And I said, he's going to be going down. You don't race RC cars anymore, do you?
No, I did it once. Well, we did in Brockport when I was a kid. Then, of course, when we got bowling and soccer and basketball and racing and everything else, didn't have time to do that. And then later in life, they opened up Fountain Raceway in Ontario.
Yeah.
And I started doing that for a couple years. And I think that closed down at one point.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of just stopped at that point.
I would say it's not reopened, is it?
I don't know if
Oh,
it
okay,
is.
yeah. Because
really sure.
that was when I stopped racing, I guess, carpet ovals regularly was when Fountain closed. That was it. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I mean, cripes, that was a long, long time ago at this point.
Brockport was a banked paved oval.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. I used to love marshalling at that place because you got to stand over by where the person's announcing. You got to stand way up on this hill, and then if someone flipped, you got to walk all the way down the hill.
Yeah, that was super cool. But it amazes me just because I don't know if Pete's going down to the Snowbirds again this year. I mean, I know he goes down every single year basically, but it's crazy that the guy basically doesn't race at all, and once a year goes down to the Snowbirds in Orlando and. I don't know if you want to call it drives. I don't know what you call it.
The 2 words are naturally gifted. Is the words he's looking for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's obviously super gifted from a drag racing standpoint too.
Is.
And that's just the thing. It's like, from watching him race the RC cars, he just has a lot of great hand-eye coordination. He's just naturally gifted at it. There's no other reason why the guy would be able to not race all year. You throw a controller in his hand and he can go out and basically smoke everybody. He just doesn't need the practice, and same with the drag racing. I mean, he's just naturally gifted at it. I don't know how your RC career was. I mean,
nowhere near that.
I would say I was terrible.
I was happy to get
still
a few
terrible.
wins, and that was about it.
Yeah, I was happy to finish and have my car in one piece.
Having your car not broken in pieces or the battery pack hanging off the side of it or anything was a great day.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's how I got. That's how I first met Davy. But I'm sure. I mean, your dad and your uncle. Now, your uncle's racing now. Was your uncle
Steve is racing now?
Was he racing? Did he race?
This was his first go at it. He says, "I want to race, and I'm going to go get a dragster like you and your father." I'm like, "Freaking go for it!" And came back with a beautiful one too. A beautiful undercover dragster.
It is a really nice car.
He won a lot of rounds this year. Won some money this year. Did really good. And my oldest uncle, my Uncle John, he was the one that had the Blue 55.
Yep.
It was a gasser. That's actually back out now. Claude Parr and Charlie Parr have it out now as well. And the rest of them also. My cousin Johnny, my cousin Timmy, they all race also.
Yep. I would say, now your uncle, I mean, what was it that made him, I guess, get interested and said he wanted to get into racing now?
I guess some people just always want to do something in life, and when you just like, you know what, time's running out, I want to do it. And was
he always just busy with work or
always
stuff
busy
like
with
that?
Work, and I think it just one day deciding I just want to do this now, and went to Frank Holly School in Gainesville and got his license.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah,
that's definitely a great place to get your license too. Frank Holly does a good job down there.
So how many Markles are out there racing now on a regular basis?
Oh, man.
Sounds like half the field.
There's quite a bit of them now. We have a whole pit area just for us now.
Now, your wife interested?
My wife, Sarah, we're going to get her racing. Don't worry. I got ideas for her.
Nothing yet?
Nothing yet.
I would say no powder puff races or anything?
Nope, not yet. I got her in the dragster to warm it up, and she was pretty liking that, so we'll see how that goes.
It's funny because some people just take to it immediately, right? It's like you sit them in the dragster and have them warm it up, or drive it around or do whatever, right? And, drive it up the staging lanes, and immediately it's like the noise and being in the cockpit. It's like, yep, you stuck the needle in and broke it off and right away. It's like
that's what happened to my dad when I was 15 and he didn't get his dragster back. We had to build him another one.
I say, now, I mean, your dad, he's gone to a few races with you, right? I mean, he didn't go to every race with you this year, did he?
He did, every single race.
Oh, he did, every single one.
Race. I finished 21st, and I think he was like 24th or something in points right behind me.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he was only one round of competition behind me, I think.
Wow.
So it was also great because in Maple Grove, both of us had a chance to make it to the final together. We were on opposite sides of the ladder.
I saw that. I
remember
watching
7 cars together.
Yeah.
That would have been a dream come true if it already wasn't.
Was Ed in down to 7 cars too?
No, I think Ed lost second round.
I want to say I thought there was somebody else from around here that was down to 7 cars too. Maybe it was it? No, because Vince Mussolino's always running top dragster. I swear there was 3 of you guys down to 7 cars. I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, wow.
Well, the only person that was down to 7, no, I don't think it was, because I think my buddy Rick Stroud from Canada, I think he lost a round right before that. I can't remember.
Maybe it was the round before then. Yeah. But I remember seeing there was like 3 local guys, essentially really deep.
3 local guys, that would have been me, my dad, and Dan Fletcher was still in SuperComp.
Oh, okay.
At 14 cars.
Yep. Yeah. So maybe it was, and that's maybe who I was thinking. Maybe I was thinking of Dan. But yeah, I remember when you and your dad won, thinking to yourself, "Oh my God, how cool would it be if?"
We kept looking at the ladder over and over. I was like, "Dad, this could happen right here."
Yeah, that would have to be super, super cool for sure.
The right stars have to align for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, not only obviously do you have to go rounds, but like you said, you got to be on the opposite sides of the ladder too. I mean, that's really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
But well, I'm assuming that. So in 2020, it's hard for me to say that even.
2020.
Down, you're giving it the thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Too fast.
It is too fast.
I again, another aside story. I was having a conversation with my daughter.
My child's going to be a middle schooler next year, and I am not emotionally prepared for this.
I was born in 1970. I remember when I was a kid thinking to myself, doing the, let's play a game. How old are you going to be, right? And it's like, oh my God, in 2030, I'm going to be 60 years old. If you even make it that far, right? And it's like, holy cow! It's like 2030 is 10 years away.
Not that far.
It's not that far. It's really, really crazy for me to sit here and think that.
I thought that when I was 20, I was like, man, 30 years old, that's a long ways away. And I blink and I'm like, all right, that was pretty quick for 10 years.
Right. I think me and my son were watching Terminator the other day, and I think they were showing, the future scenes. I think it's 2034.
Right.
When everything's flying and there's Terminators walking all over the place and the Earth's destroyed, and it's like, yeah, that's 14 years from now. And I think we're a little further away than 14 years from having Terminator robots walking around the Earth. But yeah, it's insane how fast it goes. But anyways, so 2020 now. I mean, obviously, you got to go around and show off that number 5 that's going to be on the window on Jerry's car, right?
That's hopefully the goal.
And you're going to keep hitting the circuit for the dragster as well, and your dad's going to do the same thing? Is that what the plans are for 2020?
I would think the plans are going to be to start off the similar way we usually do. Start off with trying to get the first couple.
Yep.
And just kind of play it by ear from there.
It's a good strategy.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all like this year. We're planning on doing all 8 races. Next thing you know, we did all 8 races and 2 nationals. So
yeah.
I guess it just depends on how the first few races go. We do love racing locally still too. Every off weekend we're still at Empire racing every weekend we can. Yeah, we try to enjoy every racing we can. Summer is very short for us. It just seems that way.
Yeah, really, I would, if you would have asked me, I would have said, aside from some type of family obligation, that you were racing every single weekend.
Oh, absolutely. I can't remember a weekend that we didn't, other than one wedding I had to go to.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the family obligation, getting in the way, if you will. But yeah, I knew darn well that. I mean, you're racing, like I said, Division I Super Comp, Super Street. I know you've been racing bracket racing just at Empire. I know you've been racing in TNT Hot Rod Series occasionally. Did you do any traveling for that series at all? Or
no, I'll usually only do that when it comes. When it
comes to Empire, yeah. So I knew you were doing a whole bunch of racing. Plus you were. I mean, you work at the track as well. I mean, I don't know if it's just Friday nights that you're helping out.
Friday nights, and if it's an off weekend on a Saturday or Sunday where I'm not racing, or if it's a weekend that I wouldn't be able to race a car or something, I'll come up and still work also.
Yeah. So yeah, you're, and I mean, obviously, like most of us, you have a full-time job too, so you're a busy,
I do have a full-time job.
Busy guy. I guess the good news is that your wife, she go with you pretty much to all the races too, or
whenever she can, she goes.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's tough because, like I said, usually I'm leaving Thursday night at 6-7 o'clock when I got out of work, and just taking Friday off of work and driving all night to get there, racing all weekend, leaving Sunday, and coming home at 2-3 in the morning and go right back to work.
It's a glamorous life.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to do it for a living, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think there are some people that say, I don't know if this is the career path that you want to go on.
And obviously we all do it because we love to do it. I mean, it is fun, but yeah, when you look at the amount of effort that goes into not being independently wealthy and, trying to go race at these races and manage your vacation time that you have from work, it's a lot of late nights and, losing sleep essentially as you're pulling into the driveway at 3 o'clock in the morning to basically take a nap before you got to get up and go to work at 6 a.m. the next day, right?
Sleep.
Right.
So sleep.
I guess you're lucky because the fact that, obviously your wife knew what she was getting into, right, when she got involved with the Markle family.
Met her at the racetrack, actually. It worked out great.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. Yeah, she's great. She's a very understanding person.
Well, and she'll be more understanding once you decide to step aside and let her hop in the seat or build a dragster for her.
The keys are in it.
Will the stacker hold 3 dragsters, right?
3 dragsters, yes, but not 3 dragsters.
Just and a door car? Yeah.
That's got to be a big stack.
Right. Well, we'll select events. We'll do 3 dragsters where they're not potentially running a national event, right? Where they're not running Super Street?
Yeah.
Did you run any Super Street national events?
Nope. By the time I had grade points and everything, Epping was all filled up.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to sign up for it.
So is that hopefully in the works for 2020?
Again, we'll play it by ear. It's kind of up in the air right now. We'll see. So far, maybe.
I say it always bugged me that they only had 1 national event
per
division.
I don't understand why. I really don't get that. And I know it's like all TV time and whatnot, but most of these places that we're going to now, the pits are full when they fill them up, and the quotas seem to get lower and lower, yet the pits are full.
Right.
But everybody's rigs are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's no place to put everybody.
Yeah, and I would guess if you looked at some of the events where they had the ability that they probably had more super street racers than super gas racers. There's been a whole bunch of guys that have, let's call it, crossed over and or dropped down when they can from super gas into super street. So my guess is that if you ran more national events with super street, that you just get probably more cars than you would for super gas. You'd get all the normal super street guys, plus you'd get some super gas guys too to go ahead and do that. I would say Chris had shown a picture of Jerry's car there, and you and I were talking about it a little bit beforehand. So, you got to put ballast in the car to make
2,800 pounds
weight for NHRA, right? How much weight do you have in that car?
Couple.
Okay.
Couple pounds.
I say it's. I'm the same with the Corvette to run Super Street. It's. You have to start getting creative about where you're going to be able to mount weight
and be within the rule book.
Right.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, I've actually been debating with the Corvette about doing some things like, all right, maybe I'll put factory glass back in it, and maybe I'll put a second battery in it, and then do some things like that, just because I'm throwing the weight in it anyway.
That'd
so who cares?
Useful weight. That's the thing. Like second battery is a useful weight.
Right.
Glass is useful weight. It's all the other stuff is like, all right, do you really need this in here? No.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's funny because like the alternator. Does Jerry's car have an alternator on it?
It does. Yeah.
All those years that guys never ran alternators, it was like, nope, not going to do it. All the rest of it, it sucks 2 horsepower away. And okay, I get it. When we were running comp eliminator, modified eliminator, it's all we could do. Trying to get as much power out of the car as you could. But you look back now, and it's like, what difference? It makes no difference when you're bracket racing.
No,
and the convenience of having the alternator in the car and not having to worry about, I need to go back and make sure I have
Especially for double class, and like the picture he just showed, that was the first time I ever no-box race.
Oh, you no-box race that car too?
The picture he just showed a second ago, that was actually me running up to Thomas Fletcher, actually. And it was that was last year. That was the second weekend that I drove the car. That's after we talked to the guy here when he let me drive his car. The second weekend, it was the nostalgia weekend, and I know they had no box, but they also had mod gas and things that I can race. So I was like, I can run mod gas and no box if I pull the box out of this car. And I was like, I haven't bottom bulbed since I was like 18 years old when I was racing street. Yeah. I was like, screw it, let's give it a shot. What can go wrong, right? And I think I went like 3 or 4 rounds both days in mod gas. Went 3 rounds in no box the first day, and run it up the second day in no box with it.
That's incredible. I mean, I have to say, I mean, overall, that I mean, you certainly are. I mean, you're what I consider to be one of the kids out there, right? The next generation of racers, and it really just amazes me how good some of the people are, like yourself. I mean, I'm terrible. No box racing, horrible. And to be able to get in a car that you really haven't raced that much and be like, all right, I'm going to go out there and go no box race and see how it is, and to be able to go that many rounds is just really incredible.
The technology out there now is great too. I mean, obviously, you got adjustable buttons, you got the tire pressures, you got RPM chips. There's so many things that people have figured out. Back when I was racing street or something, that wasn't a thing. You just freaking foot brake that and hope for the best.
Right.
And now, you got an adjustable button. You can really get it down to almost using a delay box. And I'm still questioning on that. I don't know how I feel about that. I think I would want to be a true no box racer and just foot brake it. But if it's out there to use, I'm at a disadvantage if I'm not using it.
You have to be able to. I mean, you have to use the tools that are within the rule book that everybody else is using, right? I mean, otherwise it's silly not to, just on the. On the premise, if you will, that I'm not going to do it because I don't believe in it. I mean, it's like, well, you want to be competitive or not? I mean, delay boxes. Delay boxes were very controversial when they first came out, but they were within the rules. So why not use them? And
the old Thorn box.
I would say it's funny you mentioned that, because I mean, I'm sure you saw
I did see the practice tree. We have that still. My dad still has it.
Do you really?
We still have that practice tree. I saw it and I wanted to comment on it. I forgot to. I was like, that looks familiar. I got one of those still in the box.
That's incredible. I would say, I don't know if you saw that at all this week, Chris. I forget who it was that posted it, but
I've existed in a vacuum since last Wednesday.
Yeah. So Thorn Microsystems, Rick Butenagel was from out this way. I think he was a motorcycle racer, I think is what I remember.
Spencer's all.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So he started Thorn Microsystems and basically created one of the very first delay boxes. And after that, then he came out with this practice tree. Well, somebody just put online, they had their practice tree in the box from 1983 or something like that.
Mid-'80s somewhere, before I was born.
But what's crazy is that from around here, there's a whole bunch of people that still have them. I mean, they don't look all that much different, really, from the practice tree that you'll go out and buy today. But because Rick was from this area and was frequenting the tracks around here, a lot of people had Thorn Microsystems stuff.
They still work.
Yeah.
The lights still work the same way.
Right?
Yeah, but it's cool to see some of those old electronics. And unfortunately, I think, well, I don't know what the demise of Thorn was. I remember hearing that it was potential lawsuits from Ike Hammond, Digital Delay, and what's his name from Dead and Bear. What's that?
If we don't know, we don't know.
Yeah, it was rumors, but I think in the end it might have been the fact that NHRA basically went and said, you have to be on this approved list of electronics manufacturers, and I just don't think they had the money to be able to do it. So at that point,
it all comes down to money.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, to be perfectly honest. But still neat to see a local guy, way back, and he did have a couple of patents, I know, too, on some of his stuff. Some neat stuff. I think you need to put that Thorn Microsystems box back in the dragster. We're not going to run in a modern delay box.
I don't know if they have a dashboard that fits one of those.
So now we were talking about before we went on the air, we were talking about kind of how you got into Jerry's car to begin with, and you were kind of telling the story about you broke the dragster. You were at one of Sierra's twin 7500 races, and you broke your dragster, and then Jerry essentially, I guess it was after a couple of weeks, right, that he offered up his car for you to race?
Yeah, he offered me up the car to race because mine was broken, and kind of just started off as, let's race it this weekend to have fun, and went a couple rounds, and next weekend was the Nostalgia race. I was like, hey, do you want to race at Nostalgia Gold Cup race? He goes, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I was like, well, if I do that, I got to take the box out. So now I took the lay box, had to figure out how to make all the wires work because every wires go through it.
Yeah.
So got to make sure everything worked there good. And we had a good weekend there, and we just kind of kept racing it week to week and see how it went. And by that time, I think it was like 5-6 weeks in, and I got my dragster back together. And I figured, I'll get my dragster back together, and I'll give this car back. So thank you so much. I'm like, I really appreciate it. This is great. And we kept saying, like, you know what? I could race when it comes out. I could race this class with this one and this class with the other one if I bring them both. And so I started racing pro and super pro with both of them on the first couple weeks I brought it out. And I had a stretch where I went in that week, in that 6-week span where I won 4 races. And I ended up getting down to 4 cars in a 10-grander with Jerry's car the next week after that. And it was just a really good 2 months of racing, I would say.
Yeah.
And it just kind of spawned into just racing it more and having fun. And it's a really cool car to drive. It's probably goes straighter than my dragster. I don't think I've ever driven a door car that runs that well. And I think I've actually driven Phil's car once, the car you drive.
Yeah.
I drove that once. I ran it in a super rod race once. I think John Jablonski took me out first round, if I remember. You can't be 440 on the tree and hope to win. That was back when 400 was a light.
Right. I would say you look like you had something to ask, Chris.
I just was thinking,
ask away.
I was just thinking that Ian's probably loving this part of the conversation.
No. Yeah, I would say, the interesting thing about Jerry's car, too, that you were kind of mentioning was the fact that, he bought it as, it was a street car, you said, right?
Substantially, it was a street car.
Yeah.
And leaf spring suspension and jacked way up in the air. And one winter, he basically told Claire, I'll be in the garage. And back halved it, front halved it, got glass hood, glass trunk, glass doors, glass everything, and did all the tin work and painted it. And it looks like the car you saw in the picture a minute ago right there. Just a beautiful, beautiful car. And won Best Appearing at Virginia for the divisional with it. And he was ecstatic about that just as much as I was. And
yeah,
we got nice pictures with that.
I have to say that, I mean, I guess I am old, right? And I guess because I'm old school. But I mean, the fact that he built it all himself is super cool for me. And that's, for me, that I have a lot of respect for the guy that, he built it himself. And not to say that I wouldn't be proud of winning a Best Appearing Car award or Best Engineered Car award if I, bought myself a, Jerry Haas Camaro or whatever it might be. But to have something like this where you have a car that you built yourself rather than just go out and bought it gives
a little different meaning.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. And there's a picture of the award there. They don't give out Wallys anymore for Best Appearing, huh?
Not at the division. I think they do at the national, is from what I think. Because I think I remember one of the Ray Millers, I think at one of the recent ones, they won Best Appearing, and I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just at the national you get a small Wally for that one.
But still, that's super cool.
Absolutely.
So I'm assuming that Jerry got that?
That is sitting in the tower as we speak. Okay. I drove it right over there as soon as we got back from Virginia. I couldn't wait to give it to him. That was awesome. Sitting right up in the tower with a bunch of other stuff with pictures of that car.
So I know you can buy duplicates, but I was going to ask. It's like, so you go out and you win Wally with the car. What's going to happen to that? You're going to buy a duplicate, right? I'm sure Jerry would love to have that sitting in the tower.
One way or another, there will be Wally and or Wally's coming home. So if that's what it takes, that's what it's going to take.
Right. Now, you had said that, so I thought I heard you say this before, and this is hard for me to believe. Did you say that you hadn't won a round at a national event?
I have never won a round at a national event until this year.
That is, I can't believe that, honestly.
Well, I actually haven't entered that many as frequent. I mean, I've probably only entered before this year. I think I've only been in 3 national events.
Yeah. And
I just always seem to somehow it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
Like first round, I lost by 2,000. Next year, first round, lost by 5,000.
Yeah.
Like, sooner or later it's going to happen.
Right.
This year it just worked out. I actually made it to Sunday racing at Epping, which was amazing. Just to see the stands full, the Fox Sports cameras in your face. It's just really it's a surreal feeling. I know a lot of people probably do it all the time, especially professionals, but as just a kid that goes to work every day and has a home-built race car, that was a cool thing for me.
I have to say, I would love to say I know what that feels like, but I don't.
Well, thanks to my parents and my wife, I was able to experience that. So.
Yeah, that is super cool. How many cars did you make? I mean, it must have been down to
7 cars at Epping, because we had a round in the morning before the pros went out.
Okay.
And that's actually when I lost.
Okay.
And then they had the semis and the finals right after the pros started. And then at Maple Grove, I lost at 7 cars with my father Saturday night.
Yep.
And if we both won those, we would have been in the semis on Sunday.
Yeah, that would have been cool. But
but we made the National Dragster together. Both our pictures were top and bottom right after.
Oh, no kidding.
Those are already in the scrapbook. That was a lifelong goal also, I would say.
So, I mean, goals at this point?
Still need one of them gold men.
I would say.
One of those little gold men's got to come home one of these days.
Well, we just. I mean, after you win the little one, then you want the big one, right?
Well, might as well.
Right, and then you want the polished one. But I guess if you were going to set a short-term goal, is that the next short-term goal? Is that I want a Wally?
I want a Wally, and that's what a lot of people say. Is it cost-effective to run divisionals all the time? You could be at home racing bracket races
Sure.
and this and that. I'm like, yeah, I mean, everybody wants to do any racing they want to do. That's fine.
Yep.
And sometimes it isn't always about money. Sometimes it is about pride. When it all started racing forever ago, most people just raced for pride.
Right.
That's all
right.
it was.
Oh,
my car's gonna beat yours. Let's go. We bracket race, an index race, so to speak now.
Right.
But in all honesty, it's still like how many people don't have a Wally? It's not something you can just get anywhere. You're only gonna get that one place.
Right. Right. Yeah, I have to say it bugs me a little bit, I guess, how NHRA has cheapened them to a certain extent by allowing so many places to buy them and give them away at special races.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just bugs me a little bit. I mean, it used to be you got a little Wally for winning class or a division event, and you got a big Wally for winning a national event, and that was it.
That's the only place you can get it.
Now it's like, oh yeah, I won this bracket race someplace, and part of the deal was giving away a Wally, and I mean, I give the local promoters credit for doing that because clearly that's an allure to get people out to the track, and I wish I would say that. I guess I wish I had a big Wally. I have a little one. I wish I had a big one, but more so.
Where's your little Wally from?
My little Wally's from Maple Grove. I won a division event at Maple Grove. Well, dirt was created. I think the dinosaurs died, and then I won a super.
I hear
street
that
race.
kind of story a lot at the races I go to. We're sitting around a fire, and I am by far the youngest one at the fire. They're like, "Oh, way back when." I was like, "Oh, here we go." The story's starting already.
Yeah, I think it was 2000. It was 2003 or 2004 that I won Super Street at Maple Grove, and
that's awesome.
It's one of those things where I drove well. I mean, I'm not going to say that I didn't, but I also got very lucky. In the quarterfinals, I was 007 red, and my competition was also 007 red, and I got the win light.
Right place, right time.
Right.
And it just has to work out that way. You always have to get lucky at least once to win that race.
Yeah, man, that was my super lucky round. Even in the finals, I mean, it was a really good race in the finals. I don't remember exactly what my light was, but I was an 0 or a teen. He was an 0 or a teen. I had a slight advantage. I went down and, quite frankly, didn't mean to, but gave the stripe back by a thousandth or two. He was 89.8. I was 90 with a 2 or something like that. So, I mean, again, got lucky, really. Hey, you take it any way you can get it. But I guess, so yeah, I mean, it had to be 04. It had to be 04 because my daughter was an infant and my wife was actually pregnant with my son. She was very pregnant with my son.
I was just turning 18 years old.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was just after the dinosaurs died. But I mean, like yourself, I mean, I never went to many national events, and the national events that I was in generally, well, I did Chicago, I did Englishtown a couple of times. A couple other national events I did in Super Gas, which was just a terrible, terrible idea for me. But I mean, I never really did anything at the national events, and yeah, I would. If you were to ask me really what my next goal would be from a national event, or from let's call it an NHRA standpoint, yeah, I'd like to make it to Sunday. That'd be pretty cool.
Sunday racing was a really cool experience. And again, I always used to sit in the stands and watch all those guys. I'm like, man, these guys were here since like Wednesday.
Right. And
they raced all weekend, and they're down to 4 or 7 cars or whichever it was at the time. I was like, that's not an easy feat to do out of 80, 90, 100 cars, or whatever the quotas were at the time.
Yeah. I think for me, that ship has probably sailed for me. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll get independently wealthy here as my kids graduate and move out of the house, and I'll have a lot more money to go racing again. But my NHRA national event days might be over. And unfortunately, I have to say the mid 90s to early 2000s was just a really great time to race because you had IHRA that was still
IHRA
going
was
strong.
Awesome back then.
Yeah, we did a lot of IHRA races too, and that was super cool. And then I don't know what it was, 2004, 4 or 5 was when gas prices went to $4 a gallon, and that was pretty much it. Yeah, that was pretty much it for a whole bunch of us. We couldn't afford to do it, and I think that really hurt IHRA big time because they didn't have competitors coming out to support the races. You couldn't. But yeah, it was cool. The IHRA races, I had a lot of fun doing that. Though I will say, you probably experienced this at Maple Grove. It sucks to lose, and then hours later see the guy that you lose to be either running in the final or let's call it in my case I lost in the semifinals at Milan, and we were pitted down at the end of the track, and that's where they had at the time it was the Hooters winner's circle. And I really just got back to the trailer. I was still licking my wounds, and it's like, all right, I guess we got to start putting the car away. And I, get to watch the guy that I lose to. He comes through and wins and pulls off the track. And because we were pitted all the way down there, because I was one of the last cars to show up at the track, I get to watch him pull into the Hooters winner's circle, and the Hooters girls hanging off of him. And it's like, oh my God,
that could have been me.
That is exactly what it was. It's exactly what it was. Yeah, that hurt. And you look back and it's like, geez, what coulda, woulda, shoulda. One of these days, maybe get a chance to do that again. But
I kept thinking about that all year in Super Straight. Like, okay, if I didn't screw up this round in Super Straight, if I didn't screw up this round in Super Straight, as my fifth would have been a fourth, it would have been a third, it would have been I was like, the woulda, coulda, shoulda, but that's racing.
How many points back? So you finished fifth. How many points back did you finish out of first?
I think about 85, something like that. So about half of a race, 3/4 of a race.
Yeah. And I mean, it's close enough. Like I said, you could look back and say, geez, if I just would have done this differently, that differently, next thing you know. But in the end, money-wise, I mean, I don't even know. What is Division Champ? Does Division Champ pay $1,000?
Pretty sure they get $1,500, and then runner-up gets $500, something like that. But the big thing is a gold card and nice polished freaking Wally and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, the cash though is just it's a shame that's what it is. And so what are you going to do with your big check that you got from NHRA this year for finishing fifth?
I think we just bought all the air we're breathing in with it.
I would say, that's a crazy thing. Is that do you get other than a number? Do you get anything?
Nope.
For finishing the top 10 anymore?
I think
Nothing.
That's it right there. You get for finish top 10 in the world. You get some stuff.
You get a gold card still if you finish the top 10 in the world, right?
I think top 5 in the world you get a gold card.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, I have to look it up. I can't remember, but
well, like I said, I'm sure has Jerry already scraped the numbers off of the car to put?
No, we haven't done any of that yet. We had to winterize things as quickly as possible because we went from it was 100 degrees when I showed up in Virginia on Thursday, and
seriously?
We got home. Oh yeah. It was 100 degrees the first day. I even got pictures of my thermometer on my truck as we came into Richmond. And the first day we were there was 100, then it was about 75 to 80 most of the rest of the days. And then we got back home, and I feel like it was a blink, and now we got snow everywhere, and it's freezing. So we had to winterize things pretty quickly to make sure all the cars got where they got to, get the truck and trailers off the road. So we didn't scrape any numbers off yet.
So it sounds like it's not written in stone at this point that you'll be taking Jerry's car all over the place. I mean, I guess as far as if we were just talking about your dragster and going super comp, are you planning on doing anything to your car in the off season? Or?
Yeah, I've had a lot of runs on my car. We gotta rebuild the motor a little bit, get new rods and stuff like that in it. But
generally the same combination for next year.
Yeah, I would say so. I don't see anything changing in there. It's a really good combo. It works pretty good, and I made a lot of shootouts this year that I've never been in one of them until this year, and I made 4 shootouts this year and actually runner up one of them. So
those are fun.
those are a good time on Friday night. It's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I always liked when we did the Western Super Out Association down in Pittsburgh at Dragway 42. We had the opportunity to do that, and I ended up winning that. But anyways, I always liked the shootouts. I just thought it was a fun extra race, right? It's like, yeah, you throw $50 in, and if you basically qualify high enough, then you get to be in the shootout, and 8 cars, and that's it. And yeah, just one more little fun thing to do while you're down there. Anyways, I always liked those. And you think, your dad, you said your dad went with you all season, so obviously he would probably still plan on traveling with you again next year.
I would imagine so.
Now, your uncle, is he thinking about doing anything?
He's thinking about coming with us next year, which would be pretty cool. Just another Markle for all of them to worry about out there now.
That would have to see. That would be pretty darn cool to see. Half the ladder made up of Markles.
I'm all right with that. That means better chances of the win coming home with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And anything from a sponsor standpoint, I guess. You kind of like your typical racer that you do what you can, and if someone's willing to help you out a little bit, great.
We have great sponsors. I've had You Need a Tire Rate in Rochester has been with me since I was born, basically. And Ron Rigby Photos, and you see a lot of the pictures up there is all Ron Rigby. He's a great guy. And Matt Schaff at Performance Specialties, he does all my engine machine work. And Bruzy Transmissions and Converters, that's the kind of shirt I got on right now. He helps me out a lot for all my trainings converters. And he actually built the converter for Jerry's when we broke his. And built the converter for his, picked it up about a 1/10.5.
Oh, no kidding.
I thought it was fast already, and it really got faster. So
wow,
his stuff is top notch for sure.
I would say, what did the mile an hour? Did the mile an hour pick up too?
Oh yeah, I put it this way: I left the throttle stop the same, added like a couple 100 pounds to the car, and it went faster.
Wow!
So you can do the math on that.
I know I've been thinking about with the Corvette potentially trying to do something. I've always felt like the Corvette needed something different from a converter standpoint that I'd be able to pick it up. Sounds like a Bruzy. This guy's a
converter technology is pretty amazing nowadays. Which, especially the people got dynos, they can make it and test it and check it. I mean, you give them the specs and everything you have, and next thing you know, they got something that works better than you've ever just guessed at before.
Yeah. You're not the first person to come on the show that has mentioned a Bruzy. I bet you we probably had a half dozen, I would guess, right?
I think so.
And a
lot of new partner we've had on this year, too, is also Duzin with our B-Lock conversions. Me and my dad both have B-Lock conversions on our dragsters now. We're doing 16 and 15-inch wheel B-Lock conversions. And you should be able to see them in my picture. They just showed up a minute ago. But
just on the dragster, not on Jerry's car?
No, not on Jerry's car. There's no B-Locks on that one yet, but possibly next year. We'll see.
I would say, is that Jerry's car running just a 14-inch wide tire, or is that?
That is a 33 16.5 15.
Big.
It's a big tire on that car.
And you had said that the car, it runs in the 8s.
It does run. It can run in the 8s.
So what do you run at your 1090 at 150?
145. Small block. So.
Yeah, you said it was a 434. Is that what you said?
434, all
18-degree heads on that.
Small block,
yeah. And now is your dragster a small block?
It used to be. It's a big block now. We got 582 in that now.
I would say I always thought for some reason that your car was a small block in the dragster, but
for many years they were. And then when I took a trip to the dark side, NHRA, so to speak, and our first year, and I'm driving out the back of the cage for every run.
Right.
And it's like, this is nuts. Like, I'm going 160, and I am a sitting duck out here, and it's like, I got to make the race a little bit more visual. So we put the big block together, got her up in the 170, so it's a pretty good even standpoint, so I'm not driving out the back of the cage all the time. I
would say if you were to ask me today, and I don't know for sure, but if you were to ask me today, I would have said that most Super Comp dragsters are doing $175.
180 plus, unfortunately.
Most of them really are over 180.
I would say most of them are all right around the 180 mark, especially Division 3, if you go there a lot.
Yeah.
Almost everybody's 180 plus.
I would say Division 3 is crazy from that standpoint.
Division 3 is fast. Top dragster and Super Comp are wicked fast.
Right. Yeah, top dragster, I remember seeing the qualifying sheet from someplace, and yeah,
Indy.
It was ridiculous.
Indy was 1/10 of a second for 32 cars. 610 to a 620. That's what you had to run. Good luck. Bring your A game.
Yeah, 620. That is just so ridiculous.
I remember when my dad started racing top dragster with the car I drive. He was number 2 or 3 qualifier going 750 at 180. I think Dave Price, if I remember correctly, was number 1 qualifier with 3 stages of nitrous on a 632. He went like 690. And everybody just was like dumbfounded. Like, you went 6s.
Yeah, I'm not sure that 690 would qualify you anywhere in Top Dragster.
Not even close. Mostly all Division 1 races for Top Dragster are all 670, 680s.
That's just so crazy.
And that's with no nitrous, some of those. Those are all motor cars sometimes.
Right. It's insane. It really is. I don't remember what the guy's name was, but I saw him running this. It was like Pure Street, I guess I'm going to call it. Just recently. You might have seen the car. I'm going to call it a car, but it's got no body on it. It looks like a dune buggy.
I think I remember. I forget what race. I think I know which one you're talking about.
I can't remember what the heck the guy's name is that runs this thing. But I saw him, and it was a little 4-cylinder, I think, in it.
Is that the 17-second car or 18-second car? Which one are you talking about?
No. This one was running. It went 780.
Oh, definitely not the same car.
Yeah, 4-speed. Manually shifted 780 with twin turbos and just absolute insanity. And this thing had no body on it, so it looked like he was driving a dune buggy. It was interesting to see, but yeah, it's crazy how fast stuff has gotten, and yeah. 990 these days is so boring. Yeah. I say, would you like to step up to Top Dragster at some point, or
it'd be cool to? It's pretty amazing technology-wise when you think about it. When I look at a lot of Top Dragsters, I see a lot of maintenance type work and needing a big crew and everything.
Yeah.
But nowadays with the Pro Charge cars, you see them driving up to the lanes, making a run, pulling a chute, driving it back to the pits, and putting fuel in it. It's like, wow, you can go 620s at 230 like that and bracket race it and never touch it. I'm like, that's the kind of Top Dragster racing I could get involved with right there if I could afford it. But
did you ever run nitrous on your dragster? Never.
No, sir. I want nothing to do with us.
I was just wondering, did your dad ever do it?
No, he originally had a plan, something like that, when he built the car.
Okay.
And then he ended up with a small block with a blower on to turn on Top Dragster.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking, maybe back in because at one point, right, in IHRA, nitrous was legal and
in quick rod racing.
In quick rod, right? Yeah. So I was wondering if you guys had ever put the bottle on your dad's dragster to run quick rod with, but
the only power adder that's going to be on our car is going to be some type of supercharger / pro charger.
I think we need to make that happen.
You hear that, Dad? We got to make it happen.
You can run a. I mean, there's nothing against having a pro charger on Super Comp car, right?
Rob Mosher did it in Texas when 890 at 214.
Wow.
So good luck judging that finish line.
Of course, once you start going that fast, I don't know if you were going to go 890. I guess the slowest you could probably do 890 would be 155 maybe.
Chris Gerritsen goes 890 to 120 something.
Okay,
that's the down track throttle stop.
Right.
The reverse throttle stop, so to speak.
Right. I mean, once you get that fast, though, I mean, if you're 214, so a guy running 165, let's call it. I mean, that's still a pretty fast dragster. You're 50 miles an hour faster.
Like driving by him, sitting on the highway, guy standing still.
Yeah, I don't think that person, there's really any advantage at that point.
No, it's just for the sake of, I just want to go fast.
Right.
I think it turned out that they didn't have Top Dragster at that event. And he goes, I'm just going to enter Super Comp with it and try it. I think that's how it worked out.
So, but that's not, your goal at this point is not to go faster. It's
win races.
I'm trying to get my head around going 214 miles an hour and still hitting that number.
It's just math.
Even Top Drag. I mean, in Top Dragster, when they're not doing 890, right? I mean, the fact that these guys are ET racing cars.
They go 620 every run. Mm. It's impressive, actually, what we expect. What we put these cars through, what we expect them to do, and they repeat within thousandths of a second every run. It's impressive.
Right. Yeah, and it's not. I mean, even though the technology has gotten a lot better to make the cars faster. Cheaters aside, I mean, really, the technology has not changed to make the cars really any more consistent. It's not like we're using data acquisition systems and looking at wheel speed counters and doing those types of things to make the cars more consistent than they used to be 20 years ago. Like I said, cheaters aside, I mean, obviously you're going to have some guys, I'm sure, that are out there doing that and using illegal ignition boxes and stuff like that. But for the most part, I mean, to say, all right, I have a throttle stop, or this is what it was, and I have my computer system, and this is how I want to change the timing a little bit to speed it up or slow it down. I mean, that's all guys are doing for the most part. I mean, I don't even know what you do with I guess you change a pulley, maybe. I guess probably ignition is probably still easier with the ProCharge cars, right?
Just rolling timing out.
I mean, I don't know anything about that type of stuff.
I know it looks cool. That's about as much as I know about it, unfortunately.
You mean the ProCharge, or you mean taking the laptop and setting it on top of the hood of the car?
I honestly want nothing to do with having to use a laptop to tune my car because I don't feel like a guy in Street Outlaws. But if that's what it's going to come down to someday, unfortunately, we all might have to do it. But I still like just being able to do it the old-fashioned way, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's I will say that even though I'm, to a certain extent, Mr. Technology, I don't know. I mean, I look at a bunch of this stuff and think to myself, I just don't understand. I looked at the grid system.
Yep.
I went through their starter's guide for the grid system. The starter's guide was 50 pages long.
That's 49 pages longer than I need.
Well, it's funny you say that because it's exactly what I was thinking too. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't need any of that to, tune my car, right? That just seems crazy to me.
I've won a bunch of bracket races with a 6AL with a rev limiter chip.
Right.
And it worked just fine.
Right.
So.
What do you think, Chris? You're awfully quiet over there.
I'm just digesting. Actually juggling the board, riding sliders.
I say, everything okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. Everything looks fine. No issues.
Okay. Well, good.
Nope, just watching sliders, that's all.
All right, well, Davey, we said we'd keep you on here for an hour. We're at an hour and 10 minutes here. I guess before we wrap up, is there anybody else that you'd like to send a shout-out to or thank you or anything like that?
Just my family. They let me do what I do, and I love what I do. It puts a smile on my face. And like I said, my parents and my wife, they the biggest supporters I have. And all my sponsors, thank you for being here. And Jerry and Claire for letting me drive their car this year and obviously finish top 5 is a really awesome goal. And hopefully next year we can do even better in both cars.
We want a 1 on the window.
That'd be cool. That'd be, not going to lie. And it brings us back to the whole, now I'm committed to running more races now.
Yeah. We'll get a 1. I mean, if not on Jerry's car, we'll get a 1 on the dragster.
What are we going to have to do with it?
It's moral support.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. We can say
my man Justin O'Brien at JRO Design will put me a nice 1 all made up for me.
Yeah, I mean, we can say
I'll have it prepped and ready. You hear that, Justin? Get a number 1 ready. Jason said I'm ready for it.
Yeah, we can say we prepped Davey on the Final Round podcast, right?
Ready. Yep. Got him ready.
We knew him. We knew him before he was a big shot. So
he knew me when I was a little shot racing RC cars.
Even before juniors, that is crazy.
That was a long time ago.
But, anyways,
appreciate you guys having me on.
Anytime. More than welcome to come back anytime. Anytime you got something that you want to fill us in on, or any sponsor news or success or any changes to the schedule or anything, by all means, you're welcome to come back anytime.
All I gotta say is everybody come to the races. Bring a friend.
Yeah, we need to get your dad out here with you too. I'd love to talk to your dad a little bit about kind of his racing history and how he got started and stuff like that too. So
maybe next time I'll bring both of the elder Markles with me.
Absolutely, everyone's welcome.
We will make that work.
I can go sit on the couch over there, and
it's a comfy couch. I started my night over there.
you guys can fill up the important seats, and I'll sit on the couch and just watch.
I'll show you how to do the sliders.
Yeah, there you go. And maybe you could talk a little bit more.
Maybe. This one I didn't have to. I was just content to listen. This was a good one.
All right. Well, I hope you think so.
I'm fielding all the messages on how to. I got 4 pictures of fuel doors on how to put gas in cars.
Don't put gas in a diesel.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
My Magnum was supposed to be flex fuel, so I tried to put E85 in it, and it ran like garbage. So I just put the regular gas back in, and it ran fine. Tried it, figured it was worth a shot. Just burned through it like crazy and ran.
Put
like
methanol in there; it'll run really good.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody that makes the jump from race gas to E85. Why didn't you just go to methanol and make it better right from the start?
You running alcohol?
We run methanol in the dragsters. We run race gas in Jerry's car.
Okay. I say that's Billy Lieber's trying to get me to switch to methanol. I don't know.
The only problem with methanol is you use so much more of it.
Not really.
You go.
If done right, you don't. I'll say that. I've heard that from many, many people. And if your car is set up correctly, you don't use that much more. Even if you use double it, what's the price of gas compared to the price of methanol?
In the applications I'm speaking of, when you've got a fuel cell the size of the back seat,
True.
you're using almost 3 or 4 to 1 in terms of the fuel that you're going through. Just because it's always it's max RPM, looking for low end horsepower.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Now but there is more maintenance with the alcohol, I'm assuming, right?
I don't really have much more maintenance. I actually also drive around in a primer. Also, I drive around on pump gas, and I switch it over to methanol right in the burnout box. Make my run on methanol, and then switch it right back to gas in the shutdown area.
That's interesting.
It's actually really nice. Your oil stays nice and clean, and you don't use much gas either. Mm-hmm. And it keeps temperature in the motor, especially on those cold days when the alcohol cars are sitting there trying to fire them up.
Right.
I start mine up and just drive away. How'd you do that? I don't know.
Huh. That's interesting. And that's carb or anything else? Nothing cares?
No, you can you can put it right under carburetor too. The people who have carburetors had them put under there too.
So are you running injection?
Yeah, I run fuel injection on the dragster.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're a fuel injection family. Always have.
Oh, that's cool.
And always will be.
I'll have to talk to you more about that because that's another thing that's kind of really interested me overall. I mean, it's one of those things I look at and it's like I don't know a heck of a lot about, and but yeah, seems interesting to me. So yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
We will.
Is that another show?
It could be.
That could
have a fuel injection.
That could be Davy's injection technology show.
How to make your car go a lot faster.
Where'd you say you live?
Scottsville, New York.
Scottsville.
We're gonna have a remote from
how else?
The Markle shop.
We can do that.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to go there and do like a shop visit type thing, and then we're gonna have to edit the piece together.
Yeah.
We can do that. I got spare Terminators. We can bring in and do a whole lesson right here.
Here, I don't know if we want to do it here. We can go there. Sounds good on paper, right up until the place smells like methanol and everything. And Jim wants an explanation on why Finger Lakes 1 smells like a race shop.
Well, you see, we were holding class.
I don't think that's a good idea.
It's like a shop class. It's okay.
Yeah.
So you run Ron's stuff?
Yeah. We got Ron's Terminators on mine.
Yeah, like I said, I'm intrigued.
Well,
that and a Pro Charger. I want to do both.
All right.
Say we do both together then, because I want a Pro Charger also.
We'll learn together.
Yeah, we will learn that. We're not going to do it with a grid or any of that crap either. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way.
Right. Okay.
Is that a pact signed in blood?
I think so.
We'll go with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Final thoughts? Anyone?
Nothing from me other than congratulations on a great 2019.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hopefully 2020 is even better.
Agreed.
I don't think
for me too.
I don't think anybody's going to argue with those notions. We wish you the best, man. Appreciate you coming in and making some time for us. Episode number 73 is in the books. We're going to do it again in a couple weeks. We're going to be back on Wednesday with that one as well, with episode number 74 here coming up soon. Once again, thanks for tuning in. That has been the final round from the North Park Building at Academy Square. We will see you next time. This has been the Final Round Drag Racing Podcast, coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. We'll see you right back here again in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.